Adil Rashid, he's won World Cups for England in 20 over cricket and 50 over cricket bats. He's not going to be around forever though, is he? And whereas India are in a situation where, you know, the last couple of years, not just looking at leg spin of course, but looking at spin in general, they've had of course Kuldeep Yadav, who would be playing in this series you'd imagine if not for injury, Axar Patel, Washington Sundar, Ravindra Jadeja has only just retired from the T20 setup. Ravichandran Ashwin, Yuzvendra Chahal, Ravi Bishnoi's just come in. I mean, there's so many spinning options that you actually forget that they've got some in their side. Abhishek Sharma bowled in the last T20 and he's an opener. You know, we can talk all we like about where England are going to go under Brendan McCullum, but also there's batters that you could argue for. There's fast bowlers you could state a case for. There's a billion wicket-keeper batters. There's only one Adil Rashid, and when you look over his shoulder to see who's coming up behind him, is there much to come? And if there is, who?
I think first and foremost it's a mismatch to judge England's spin bowling prowess against India, a country that has sort of forged and prized itself on quality spin pretty much since its existence. So I think that's an unfair sort of crossover, shall we say. Who replaces Adil Rashid? The way that we are selecting at the minute, that person doesn't know either. It could go anywhere. I would like to think that the number of overs that Adil has bowled in his career, because he's sort of been pushed down a white ball path as opposed to bowling lots of test overs, he still has some time left in his body. So the volume isn't quite there, even though he has an age. It is just an age now. The medical science around now will be able to extend his career if he still wants that. He doesn't seem to have lost any of the hunger for playing, so that's a positive, and that's something for England to stick in their back pocket and look after. But how and where do we get the next players? Well, we've got to start investing in some spin, and you know, possibly there needs to be some intervention with signings. Every single franchise team wants to sign the best overseas finger spinner or wrist spinner, because the numbers tell you that spin is very important within short form cricket, 2020 and 50 over cricket. So do we need to, in one of our competitions, say, okay, there's no overseas spinners this year, so that we have to play ours? I think what would happen is, and that's what happens in red ball cricket, you'd end up playing on snake pits and it would be seamers, because we are awash with very good seam bowlers in this country. So we have to look at our deficiencies and also our positives and find a solution, rather than just expecting to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Adil Rashid has been playing first-class cricket, and he doesn't play a lot of first-class cricket now, if at all, truth be told, but essentially made his debut for Yorkshire back in 2006. It's the best part of 20 years. How long does it take? You know, if we were talking about Adil Rashid 18, 19 years ago, Monty, do you think we would have seen in him all the way back then? He came in as a very young guy, obviously, so there was obviously talent there. But, you know, is there the faith in spinners? Is there the longevity? Are we giving these guys the chance to progress and become a 30-year-old World Cup winner in the way that we have done with Adil Rashid?
Well, I think Adil Rashid was very lucky to have a captain like Owen Morgan. You know, he kind of like made Adil Rashid into this attacking spinner in white ball cricket, and the coaches as well kind of supported that. So when you got a good captain, supporting Adil Rashid to become more of an attacking spinner, he kind of taught him to bowl a bit slower, a bit higher. He goes, I want you to take wickets. I don't care if you go for fourths and sixes. Your main aim is to get me wickets. And sometimes that sort of attitude, needs to be embraced in our county game, and also coaches as well. So, we've got the likes of, Gareth Batty, has done really well in Surrey, and I'm sure there'll be other coaches around who can maybe, actually learn from Gareth Batty. How do we get spinners involved in the game? How do we make, the young all-round spinners playing into county cricket as well? So there's a lot to be learnt from that, and being a spinner himself, I remember in my time I had John Embry, Nick Cook, John Charles, and they've really helped, when you have a head coach as a spinner.
Do you think Adil Rashid gets the credit that he should in this country? We're so focused on red ball cricket, and we're so focused on swing bowling and fast bowling. Sometimes we forget we've got a little little leg spinner who's won numerous World Cups for us and has been playing for the best part of 20 years and has been playing international cricket for over a decade.
I don't think his skill set is championed enough. We heard some of the snippets from commentary over the years a moment ago, and he is as good as any other leg spinner going around the world. He's different to some, and you can say why. So Rashid Khan is very direct and into the surface, whereas Adil would have more arc to his ball. He'd get more drop. The ball would spend more time on the surface. But still, the numbers come out the same way. It's just a process that is a different way of doing it. The reason why Adil Rashid, first and foremost, was given more time as a younger man, he averaged best part of 40 with the bat. So Yorkshire could pick him as a 19-year-old, knowing full well he could bat 7, 8, 9, get them runs. So then actually his bowling just becomes less significant. There's less pressure on it. If you are just a bowler and you don't particularly catch at slip and you don't bat, you are making it very difficult in this country because of weather, because of conditions, because of surface, because of the ball to an extent, to get game time. So it is literally the equivalent of Adam Gilchrist changed the face of keeping, probably with Alex Stewart, that if you do not bat as well as keep wicket, you are not going to play. I think spinners have to understand that. And everything that we have around the game nowadays suggests that a spinner, if they're prepared to do some work, can be an accomplished batsman as well as being a frontline spinner.
It's really interesting what you say about maybe introducing tweaks to the rules and regulations or the laws about setup of teams to try and prioritise spinners. I mean, T20 cricket, Monty, was always going to be about the death of bowling, of bowlers. But here we find ourselves, actually, it seems to have helped them and aided them in a lot of respects. And if you look at the rankings for T20 bowlers, very often spinners are at the top of it, aren't they? So maybe there is something there.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think spin plays a huge part now in T20 cricket. We saw recently in SA20, the PAR rules, that they were the first team to have like 20 overs of spin. Yeah. And there's one guy who's playing there, I think should be here with the England team in India, is Joe Root. His four overs will be valuable. And in my opinion, I think, we're seeing a lot of this transition now. If you're a young attacking spinner, like Jacob Bethel, if you can bowl a little bit, you're going to get, pushed into the England setup very quickly. And I thought it was a really good point by Gareth Batty that the reason Adil Rashid developed slightly later is because obviously, he was a good batsman. And, that specialist role when I played during my time at Northants, because we had spinning pitches, it allowed me to be, to get some game time and bowl my 20 overs, 30 overs and innings because the pitches were turning. And that could be another area which we could possibly see in the county game to think, can we have pitches turning, early in the season? So there's room for a specialist spinner. You don't have to be an all-rounder to bowl.
What about this one, Monty? Would you like this? Rather than bringing in 4 games of Kookaburra ball, which is a little bit strange in this country, why not have 2 home games a year? You can do whatever you want to the pitch. So if you want to rake it and do whatever you want to promote spin, which Somerset, the last time England were in India in Test Series, 2 spinners came from Somerset. Time before that, Northants, you and Swanee. There is something going on here, and forgive me if I'm sounding stupid on this, but let's allow some people to prime a surface 4 spin if they want to go down that route, because it's very brave in this country to do it. And actually, England have reaped the rewards of the teams that have been brave enough to do that in the recent past of when we've had success. The last time we were any good in India was Monty and Swanee, playing on turning pitches at Northampton.
I'm not sure if you saw the images from Pakistan with those 2 massive heaters. They look like jet engines on either side of the strip every time England played. They wheeled them out in the recent series against West Indies. I mean, they're not being used for the next 8 months, so get them over to England. See what we can do.